Welcome to Fandom Night, the show that's been a long time. Getting from there to here. ReploidBill, William Bush.
Seth Level doesn't have wubs and dubs.
Got Action Jackson.
It's me, Shane, the proto guy.
I made a joke that nobody will understand but us.
Today we are talking about the NX-01 Enterprise from, Enterprise. Technically, because of continuity shifting and yada yada, the first Enterprise. This is the original ship.
Yeah, the NX-01 Enterprise. It's a Warp 5 engine on paper.
On paper, yep.
When they
but it
tried
did
to
actually get to Warp 5. They did actually get it all the way up to 5.
Oh boy, I think Trip was freaking out because I think the ship was shaking and everything.
It could not maintain it very long at all. No. It was very dangerous to even put it.
Warp 4 was damaging the core.
Yeah.
So they could only maintain Warp 3 for long periods of time.
Shane, it's fine. Eventually they'll level up to level 16 and they'll be able to install a fucking Warp 9 drive in it. It'll be okay.
Nice.
When they get there.
Yeah. That's an STO joke.
Now I like this design quite a bit, actually. I like the fact that the saucer is basically the ship. I like that the deflectors, the deflector array is right in front of the ship. I like that. I like that it has a very submarine-esque feel to it, and the engines are just right out. Almost everything about this I like quite a bit. It does feel like a predecessor of design, like the first stages to what would become Starfleet design. It's believable. It's very believable.
Now, Bill, here's the question. Can we piss off Nick by detaching this fucking saucer?
I'm going to go ahead and say no, since it only is a saucer.
That's all it is. It's a saucer with a teeny body and then nacelles.
I know. I just love that fucking Nick gets pissed off so bad by that. Fucking detach the saucer, what the fuck?
I hear people all the time that are like, oh, Enterprise, fucking show. I fucking love this show. I'm literally going through it for my 7th time right now, because Michelle hasn't seen all of it, so we're ripping through this series, and I like Enterprise. I honestly do. I like the beginning of Enterprise. I like the end of Enterprise. I like all 4 seasons for different reasons.
You like the ending?
Yeah, I do.
The simulation ending?
No, but I like season 4. Very much I do. I don't like the fact that they fucked this cast by making the last episode a Star Trek TNG episode. That's fucking disrespectful and shitty.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I didn't like that either. I actually was the biggest problem I had with the whole show.
But I tend to like Enterprise a lot, and I think that this ship is a fucking fantastic design. It is so good.
There's a lot of inconsistencies, but there's a lot of inconsistencies in all of Star Trek.
Well, I mean, in terms of if you're going to fight about continuity, yes, you could tear continuity down on every Star Trek series. That's literally, you could tear it down in the first fucking Star Trek series where literally they see cloaking technology in an episode, and then 3 episodes later they see cloaking technology and they're like, we've never seen cloaking technology before. And I'm like, what? You just fucking did it! Continuity in Star Trek, you have to take it with a grain of salt, and you have to headcanon a lot of different things to understand that the continuity of this series is always evolving. Hell, the original series is it's a format like the Twilight Zone. Every episode basically resets the continuity. So technically every episode does not follow the next episode, but basically happens and the others never did. Like it takes a long time for continuity to exist inside of Star Trek. In fact, the first real continuity that I can think of off the top of my head is actually in the animated series. Well, okay, no, it's the original series because like they revisit characters like Harry Mudd. And so because stuff like that exists, there is a flowing continuity, but it's loose as shit because they constantly reset the characters.
Right.
Is it sad that you said loose as shit and the only thing I could think of was Taco Bell?
Wow.
Just saying.
I like that the impulse engines are like these fat little engines in the back. I actually do. I like that they're their own thing. Because they come down this right here, and then they that's the impulse engine right there, and then I like that the nacelles here are very exposed.
I kind of want to bring up here on this picture that center top and bottom. Just looking at it at that angle would make it look like an outer space saucer.
Well, yeah, it is basically a flying saucer.
Mm-hmm.
And this is before they separate engineering and the main ship. So, like later on, this will be changed to where the engineering cores are like below it, of course. Like cuz like the bottom piece of the ship that we know and love, the 1701, that's where engineering is. And then all the living quarters and everything else about the ship is up in the saucer. And then, yes, even the original Enterprise, it's in the schematics. It could separate the saucer. So even as far in as, or as early in as the original series, that was in place, that those were two different parts of the ship. Where this was one shell. This is what it was. And it was tiny. It was claustrophobic, which I liked a lot. I thought it added an element to the series that wasn't in the other series. By the time you get to Kirk's time, there's a luxury about space. Not that his ship was necessarily luxurious. You could tell that it was built to work, but it wasn't necessarily built to be overly comfortable. It was built for deep space travel. But not like the D.
But no, the D was meant for like galaxy warping.
Well, because the Enterprise D is almost like a luxury hotel. Like it is not the same concept as earlier starships.
Oh. In my day, not even admirals had such fine quarters.
Yeah, like when they put Scotty, when they bring Scotty in from on Relics and they put him in there and they're like, "There you go," and he's like, "Where have you put me?" And he's like, "Are you unsatisfied with your quarters?" And he's like, "In my day, an admiral would not have such quarters on a starship." And they're like, "Oh well, this is a fucking rut gut piece of shit room."
I mean, you want the fancy room?
We didn't exactly pull out the red carpet for you, sir. This is low key. Is what we gave you.
He's like, low key. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's what happens when all this shit is literally based off like modern naval vessels and shit like that. Like, that's just kind of what fucking
vessels.
happens.
I also love the fact that in this series, and we're not talking about the series, we are very much talking about the ship, but the fact that this was one of the very first ships that you saw take actual damage meant that everything they did was important, because you get very used to the idea that damage taken to a ship in Star Trek will just be fine the next day. Or like in the Enterprise, with the Enterprise D, you see it take like 50-something shots and it doesn't even get a scuff mark. But then the inside is like exploding and rattling around and they're like, "Oh my God, we're getting our ass kicked." And I'm like, I don't see it. I don't see it. But on the NX-01, when they took damage in an episode, it meant something, and it would follow them to the next episode sometimes. It would not be something that would just get fixed.
Well, when you don't have shields and you can only polarize the hull, you're going to feel a lot of shaking.
Did Voyager do similar stuff like that?
Voyager had moved to CG, so they started doing it, but Voyager was also very... Oh my gosh. Voyager is probably the worst with damage continuity of all Star Trek in the history of all Star Trek. Like, they lose like something like 20-something shuttles during the course of the series, which shouldn't fucking be possible. And they fire somewhere around like 7 times the complement of torpedoes that they should have. And they can't make torpedoes, so that's a load of bullshit. They can't do that. And damage to the ship was continually reset, like all the time. And that's a shame because the whole idea of Voyager was to put them in an impossible situation and force them to manage their resources. And it doesn't actually play out in the series because they just seem to have infinite shuttles, infinite torpedo, and infinite regenerating hull. And there's no explanation as to why, ever.
I agree.
So what are you thinking on the NX-01? Because I like this ship a lot. Like, a lot. It's one of my favorite designs.
Four.
You got a 4? Okay.
Yeah, I agree to that. I'd be at a 4. Normally an NX is usually what I ran with in like STO and that, so.
Well, because this is technically the Enterprise that started it all, and because it is from a really interesting series, because it's not as technologically as advanced as all the other Enterprises, it doesn't have the shields. They have a working teleporter that they're afraid to use for half the show.
Yeah.
We've seen the kind of damage this ship can take, because it can take a beating.
Yes. It's because it's built like kind of like a submarine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's designed in a way that when it does take damage, it closes off portions of the ship to continue running. So like it can lose massive chunks of the hull and continue to function because they just kind of close off that ship and deal with the fact that this is what you got.
Yep. But I'm going to give this thing a 4.5.
4.5?
Oh yeah, I think this thing is really neat. Especially like I said, it's when you compare it to all the other ships, it's vastly a relic.
I like this. I like this a lot. I'm going all the way up 4.7. I actually think this is one of my favorite designs.
Oh man, got to one up me, huh?
No, yeah, I do. I like this. I like this a lot. Like, I don't think you understand to the extent. I paid physical money on STO to get this ship, and you could only use it till level 10. And by the way, in case you don't know, in case you've never played STO, you have. But in case a viewer has never played STO, to put that into perspective, I paid $10 to use this ship till level 10, and you could be level 10 in less than an hour.
Yep.
That's how much I like this ship.
Yep.
Same.
Good ship. I'm not going to sit there and...
we like this ship so much that it's a 4.3.
Nice.
That's a great score.
Yeah.
Man.
Considering this is there's, in my opinion, a much better Enterprise.
Yeah.
Do what now?
There's an Enterprise that we're going to get to eventually that is actually the best of all of them. It doesn't really matter what your opinion is because it's wrong.
Well, the only opinion that I have is this one will probably be the last one for me for tonight.
That's
pull
fine.
Back the curtain a bit. So I'm going to head out here in a little bit.
All right.
All right, man.
Then we're done with this episode.
Bye, everybody.